Hey guys, it is Rapmark here. Doing my episode 6 of the Book of Boba Fett. From the Desert Comes a Stranger, and oh my god, I have to say, I love this episode for all, all the wrong reasons. And we'll get into that because this is going to be one hell of a discussion. Um, Needless to say, oh God, how best to even do this? It's crazy. So it starts off with someone from Mandalorian season 2, the sheriff of Mos Pelago. It was called. It's Now it's called Freetown. Cobb Vanth. There we go. He runs into some spice runners who are from the Pike Syndicate, and it's like an old school Western shootout. It's he just like he catches them by surprise, just like think it through, and they're just like they hear him out, and then they go for their guns, and pew pew pew, three of them taken out real quick. Oh my gosh. Yes, it was beautiful. He leaves one alive, obviously, makes him give up the spice, and then dumps it out. So yes, it was an epic way of reintroducing uh, an amazing character who, as you know, if you have watched The Mandalorian, he actually had Boba Fett's armor for a while until he gave it back to him. So, well, actually, the Din Djarin, he gets the armor from him after helping him out, and then he runs into Boba Fett, and full circle, Boba Fett gets the armor back. But yeah, I thoroughly loved it. He's he actually yeah, it was a badass start to the episode. I was thrilled. So then going from there, we actually go back to Din, uh, and he is actually flying to go see Grogu. I'm not sure what planet it's on. I mean, it's the planet that Luke's Academy's on, that he talks about, but yeah, that's neither here nor there. And there were a lot of cameos in this episode. I'm gonna say that right now. First cameo we get is R2D2. His little chirps and whistles, and oh my gosh, it was so fun. And yeah, Ahsoka also makes an appearance here for very little reason, though. It seems like. I mean, she's obviously close to the Skywalkers. Um, Anakin being essentially her master while she was in the Order, um, and Luke being his son, obviously. Um, but aside from that, and just like questioning the like Din's motivation for being there, uh, it just seemed like a brief setup, a decent one. Like I've seen promotions like this that were far more shameless. This one, it did have a bit of heart, so I will give it that. It just seemed like it was just to say, "Hey, I'm here, and my series is going to be coming out." Because yeah, they're doing a Ahsoka their series. I believe that's sometime this year. I'm not sure if they have an exact date, but I think they're planning for sometime this year. Um, so yeah, there's that, and of course Luke Skywalker, he's there. They seem to have fixed up his face from the his reveal in the Mandalorian season 2, which wasn't bad. It was just kind of a little bright, a little wonky. This one looked a lot more cleaned up. Um, yeah, it just looked better overall. And yeah, so he's training Grogu, and I absolutely love it. It's essentially what you wish you could have seen on the sequel trilogy. You know, an actual montage of training, of learning that you don't really get in those movies, which is sad. And and it was great. And I mean, Luke and Grogu's he's progressing quickly, and Luke himself says it's just like I'm. It's more like he's remembering stuff rather than me actually teaching him anything. Because he had training at the temple. We don't know exactly to what level. Um, I'm not sure. I'd need to look into it, but I'm not sure if it was established if he was just a youngling or if he actually was like a Padawan to someone. Um, but we also, during the course of this, actually get to see a really cool scene of him remembering the past, and you see three Jedi fending off a bunch of clone troopers after Order 66 is given. And Grogu's he's sitting there watching it. I'm not sure if he's being held or like if he's just in a compartment or whatnot. But yeah, I mean somehow he has to get out. Someone has to rescue him. So that was a very good scene because I like seeing. I wish there was more. I mean, I can see why they only left a taste. But man, that made me thirsty for more because I'm I'm in it at this point. You know what I mean? Because that's exciting stuff. All right, so yeah, Din shows up, gives the package to Ahsoka, who essentially tells him it's just like he misses you dearly, and if you show up, it's gonna ruin his training. And she herself like says that she doesn't fully believe in Luke's decision, but in terms of training him. But yeah, it doesn't really dive into that too much, aside from something about it being his choice. Now, so after that, you go through this. What's in the package? Like, what was the armor he made him? It's chainmail, Beskar chainmail, which is cool because he can wear that under whatever he's wearing currently. It'll provide him a little bit of protection. And then Luke does something, and I'm kind of going out of order. Like sometimes I'll jump around just to complete plot points for those who are not used to that. Um, he is just pulls out Yoda's lightsaber, and it's just like, oh, why? And then he makes him choose. Essentially, if he takes the chainmail, he gives up his training to be a Jedi and goes back to his friend Din because he gave in to attachment, which is still kind of weird because I don't know. I think I may be misremembering my lore, so I'm gonna skip that thought for a moment. Um, but yeah, it's just sad because that was obviously the problem with Anakin is the Jedi Order is all about you know aloof guidance and love. You cannot be attached to anyone. You can't be married, which is super sad. And the Jedi Order wasn't always like that. I mean, in the Old Republic, which I know is not canon, it's extended universe, but still, I'm going to use it. There were Jedi's being married, like, and I need to look into it a little bit more to find out like the exact reason. Who was the exact person that is just like, nope, can't get married no more. But yeah, like Luke is just already through this choice repeating the mistakes that led to the downfall of the Order in the Intergalactic Republic. So it's an interesting plot point, and we don't see his choice in this episode, but it's going to be brought about at some point. I'm not sure if it's going to be. It probably is going to be in the next episode because they're tending to, from what I'm seeing, uh, they're not really focusing so much on Fett, but now they're working on tying in people into the universe. It's like they're treating this series as sort of like a nexus, a conduit to like pull all these to put all not loose threads, but all these characters within the universe together to just say, "Hey, look at this," and then have them spin off on their own spin-off series or movies. So yeah, it's kind of sad for Boba Fett because it just doesn't seem like they were really too sure about what they were going to do with him and whether or not he'd be enough to carry his own show. Uh, and he totally would have. I mean, Din showed that a decent badass Mandalorian could be done, but at the same time, it's just like the arc that they're carrying through is just like I don't know. I have no idea what their overall plan with this. I'm gonna watch the last episode after this, so yeah. I still haven't seen it because I want these reviews and reactions to be fairly genuine as of to the episode. So then we go back to Tatooine, where Fett and everyone else is talking about the manpower shortage, which is just. I have no idea how much time has gone by, but he apparently has lots of credits, and he has a very small amount of muscle. And it's just like, what are you doing, man? What are you doing? I mean, the recap itself again shows is just like, be neutral. It's just like, why are you asking permission from sub bosses? I mean, they're their own bosses now, but I mean, he looks so weak and so out of his depth. It's super bizarre, and I don't know what they're doing. But yeah, so Din he's there, um, and he pretty much says I might be able to help. Takes care of it. So where does he go? He goes to the sheriff, back to the sheriff of Los Pelagos, Cobb Vanth. Um, and he has a deputy that is, as Cobb says, he's new, and he's a little trigger happy. Well, not trigger happy, but I mean he's a little gun ho, I guess would be a better way of putting it. And he's just like, yeah, you can't park here. And the sheriff's just like, nah, he's cool. Oh, super fun. But yeah, that deputy kind of is indirectly responsible for, like, he gets himself killed. And yeah, it's crazy. I will go into that reveal though in just a minute. Um, but yeah, Din is just like, we need help. Like the Pikes are taking over the planet. Because everyone in the town is just like, what? This sounds like a city problem. Why should we worry about it? It's just like, because this is your planet. Like the Pikes, they're not going to leave you alone forever. And so he agrees to have a meeting. And as as that is going to happen, you see this figure walking close, and you're just like, oh, who is this? And you can't tell at first, but I mean, probably the next shot they had of it. So the second shot of the silhouette in the sunlight, I was just like, wait, that hat. I can tell that hat from anywhere, and I'm just like, oh my god, is this Cad Bane? And then as it got closer and I just saw it, I was just like, I fanboyed real hard. It was, yeah, Cad Bane, the greatest bounty hunter in the Clone Wars. I mean, this guy worked for everyone. He worked for the Chancellor. He worked for uh, Count Dooku. Working dark side. I mean, he's clearly a villainish type. Um, but yeah, he worked for. He was hired to do a whole lot of shady shit, and he's able to pull off a lot. He was a survivor, and I'm just like, whoa, how is this gonna go? Because my thought is, so his race, forget what it's called. They only live until they're about 80, and at this point, he's in his 70s. Like he has to be. If you do the math, I don't know his exact age, but he's got to be in his 70s. So he's an old man in a profession that has a very short life expectancy. So yeah, this guy's badass. And he tries to essentially say your town will be left alone if you just leave everything be. And Cobb is just like, nope, not gonna happen. It's just like you shouldn't have given up your armor, and then he does the whole thing. It's the high noon draw, and then his deputy, who wandered out there, even though he asked everyone to stay inside. Um, he draws his gun, and Cad just immediately draws, and then shoots Cobb once, and then just blasts his deputy like 4 or 5 times in the chest. Like, holy crap. And then he just takes off. It's just like, holy crap. But yeah, that was a badass way of bringing Cad Bane into this. Seeing the live action one was good. I mean, from what I've looked at, he wasn't perfect, but I mean, like people did do like a fix of him, like looking closer to Clone Wars. But again, you have to remember he's an old man at this point. Maybe yeah, he looks a little different. Big whoop. So, but yeah, it was badass. I absolutely loved it. I was super happy that they brought him in on this. God, Cad Bane, fucking best thing I think this series has ever done for the fandom. Holy crap. Whew. So then after that, we go into another thing at the Sanctuary, where two Pike Spice, I'm just going to call them Spice Runners, they go into the Sanctuary. They're carrying something. Normally, it's a container that I guess would carry money. Um, and then they sit down. It's just like no drinks. We don't need our helmets cleaned. And then after like literally a minute, they get back up and walk out, but there's no container. And then the protocol droid, it's just like, you forgot this. And then blows up. Another complete failure of Boba Fett to actually keep his domain safe. Like, they're just making him look so bad. Like, he is terrible. He is, at best, he's out of his depth. And at worst, he's neutered. He's completely neutered. And it's sad and it's terrible. Makes me want to cry. But this is apparently what they're going with, and that's sad. But we got to take what we can get. So yeah, and then I talked about Grogu's choice. It leaves off there, so you don't know what choice he made. So I'm pretty sure that'll be answered in the next episode. But yeah, it's like, where do you go from here? And also, this is the second episode that barely featured Boba Fett. Like, this is the book of Boba Fett. And literally, he was a cameo who was barely talking. Which, I mean, that's Boba Fett right there. He's supposed to wear his helmet more, talk less. They really kind of jacked up his character for this, but we'll see how this ends up. I'm kind of worried for the ending, though. Like, it's just like, how does he redeem himself from all the stuff this series has done to him? And all I can say is he would need to be the one to kill Cad Bane. He would totally need to be the one to kill Cad Bane, and he has to do it himself because no one can help him, and that'll be at least a little bit of redemption from what they've done to him, because what they've done to him is a disgrace, and it's sad and it upsets me. But yeah, I thought the episode itself was great. This episode had everything. It had a little bit of everything. Like, you had stuff from the prequel trilogies, the original trilogies, freaking Mandalorian, Clone War, like everything. It was beautiful. So yeah, this one is going to get a 10 and 10 for me as an episode, but I mean, does it do anything for the Book of Boba Fett? Not really. Not really. It doesn't do a whole lot. Uh, so yeah, I am definitely giving this episode a 10 out of 10 because it was amazing. But again, where do they go from here? Like, the bare minimum that they can do to actually save Boba Fett as a character and this series is literally having him kill Cad Bane by himself in a very awesome way. Like, It just can't be freaking quick draw shit. Like that ain't gonna cut it. It needs to be pretty awesome. And then there are a lot of other things they could do to like totally redeem it, but I mean that is the bare minimum for any sort of redemption for Boba Fett in this. So uh, I am a little bit worried. Only one more episode. I mean, in order to do everything they need to do to fully redeem him, this episode would need to be like freaking movie length, and that's not going to happen. Um, so we'll see. We'll hope. We'll cross our fingers and really hope it just doesn't suck. So, anyway, those have been my thoughts. Awesome episode. Big questions about the series, and just a huge question mark on what are they going to do with Fett after this. Like, there's one more episode of less than an hour, and literally two episodes. The best two episodes that people are saying are the ones where he barely was even in. The fifth episode, he wasn't even in at all. So I don't know. It just seems like they didn't fully know where they were going with the character, or they did. They just didn't know how to execute it, or maybe they just envision him as a. I don't know. Like this doesn't feel like a Boba Fett series to me. Is the problem that this series ultimately runs into. So anyway, well, we'll see how the last episode shapes up. I hope you all enjoyed my thoughts, and I will catch you guys next time. See ya.